Hello all and welcome to this Christmas Eve. Well, kind of just random discussion. So, the beer we'll be drinking tonight is Dead Guy Ale from Rogue Brewing. And I've picked this one because Rogue Brewing, as of November 25th, 2025, is now defunct. So, it's been defunct for about a year or, well, a month or so by now. There's a lot of reasons for that. But first, let's go and dub this video. I wasn't even planning on making a video. So as you know, it's Christmas Eve. I got done with my family party, and then I've made this mistake for like the past 3 years running. I tell everyone I'm going to go to midnight mass because I live literally 2 minutes walk away from Catholic church. I can look out my window and literally see the church, and I guess it should be no big secret. I am Catholic. I'm not like really. It's not super core of my identity, but it is kind of important to me. Um, and so, you know, I think it's just funny that every year I make the same mistake. Tell everyone I'm going to midnight mass, and then I come home and I check the schedule, and it's like they have their midnight mass 8 p.m. It's like, why do you guys call it midnight mass if you're holding it at 8 p.m.? Now, I kind of understand why they did that. I mean, it's not like when, my grandparents and parents' day, when midnight mass meant mass at midnight on, Christmas. But one of these days, I'm going to remember that. My attendance is sporadic at best, to put it mildly. I always try to go and attend on the big days, though. Not that that's going to save my soul with the guy upstairs, but hey. Um, Ironically, my actual graduate degree is in Japanese religion. So it's like, um, well, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, this is a beer review, not a religion review. So, Dead Guy Ale. Rogue Brewing went out of business, like many other brewers, um, in the past year. General contraction of craft brewing in America. And yeah, this particular can, this stovepipe was produced on 6/16, so it's about 6 months old. So it's at the natural end of its lifespan. Well, I wouldn't say the natural end of its lifespan. I mean, it'll last a bit longer than that, but, quality-wise. It's kind of funny, this is their flagship, and it was called Dead Guy Ale, but as you know, my Bock is a lager. And it kind of goes to show you how far back they go. Founded in 1988. Oh, yeah. Well, no floaties, but definitely has lost quite a bit of the balancing hopping there. It smells like honey wheat bread with honey soaked in honey. But pretty much okay on the palate right now. Honey wheat bread with some mild balancing bitterness. And something like this would have been quite impressive back in the early 90s. But not nowadays. In some ways, the golden age of Rogue Brewing was the late 90s to early 2000s, in which they sort of defined, the sort of craft beer movement coming out of the Pacific Northwest at the time. But they kind of got stuck in it and never really moved on from that point, as well as sort of dealt with a lot of labor issues and other sorts of issues um, that did not make the company seem as progressive as the community it was ensconced in. Which is kind of unsurprising. It was founded by three former Nike executives who basically headhunted um, the former head brewer of Alaskan Brewing and brought him over to their side. And so they've been kind of stagnant for over 10 years now, well over 10 years, I would say. I mean, they were still kind of relevant when I started doing my reviews around 2012, 2013. But by 2016, 2017, they had completely fallen off. They weren't being stocked in like the supermarkets anymore. And you know, they generally, and even though they kind of were one of the pioneers of the stunt beer movement, pastry stout style. They were the ones who went and collaborated with Voodoo Donut to first make those first donut beers. Um, you know, they had really stagnated. Excuse me, but at the same time, their price point was still a little bit higher than other craft breweries. Some of that's understandable. Um, they had a very high overhead, and they were structured kind of uniquely amongst craft brewers in the area. I don't know if I can do it justice by trying to explain it, but since they're kind of gone, I should probably mention my Calabash cousin used to work for them, so I know a bit more inside baseball about them than I would many other brewing companies. Um, Not like a whole bunch. It's not like, but like just in passing conversation and whatnot. And yeah, so they've been struggling for a while. And so yet another, sort of giant from the early days of craft brewing passes on. I don't lament this as much as some other companies because I never quite found a beer that I really, really enjoyed from them. I mean, they had a lot of solid beers, they had a lot of interesting beers, but they never really had anything that was particularly of great attraction to myself. One, because the price point was kind of too high. Two, eh, they either did like really kind of boring beers, um, or they did ones that were just completely wacky, off the wall kind of stuff. And there didn't seem to be much of a middle ground in between. So yeah, I don't really have much to say. Like I said, I don't have much sentimentality about this particular brewery. I went and checked my channel. I've reviewed 4 of their beers, including this one, which I reviewed 5 years ago, Dead Guy Ale. But if I'm going to go and start speculating a little bit on it, I really think that when you look at the overall picture of the breweries that are kind of closing down, one thing that really kind of pops up repeatedly to me is this sort of thing where they're in the past with these companies that they had some sort of labor issue with their staff or labor issue with their brewers. And that that just kind of doesn't buy well. I think one, it kind of alienates you from the intimacy of, because breweries kind of live by their um, audiences. I mean, they're captive audiences, and I would really consider myself a captive audience of only one brewery, Lani Kai Brewing, because that was one that was very near where I used to live, and they also did a lot of styles I enjoyed. You know, um, so when you do things that create a sense of alienation from your staff, your audience, well, it's not good. Sorry, I'm just being distracted right now by noticing. Holy crap, I have a lot of termite damage on my door frame there. But yeah, so I don't know. Treat your staff well. Don't overexpand. Um, and those are two kind of easy ones. Don't overexpand. Treat your staff well. The hard one is, of course, trying to stay relevant in a changing industry. Not that the other two are really all that easy. I mean, I understand the entire thing of, budgeting and overhead and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, quashing unionization, attempting to quash unionization, it's not a good look, generally speaking. Kind of run out of things to say. Yeah, this is hitting me harder than usual because at the Christmas party about 4 hours ago, I had a couple of beers, and so now this is just kicking me right back up. So, yeah. Well, as a preview for what's coming, there's still one more review to come. I still have my Anchor Steam kind of year-end retrospective. This one will probably be a little bit more personal since I'm talking more about the state of the industry right now. Still contracting. Probably will still be contracting through 2026. Don't know how to go and put it to you. Um, so let's hope that with this sort of retrospective with some Dead Guy Ale, that there are at least fewer dead breweries in the coming year, particularly of ones that I have fond sentimental memories of. And that, folks, is your beer retrospective for tonight. Cheers.